Wanted to walk through a common scenario of how you can use backend workflows to make your app more secure. So let's look at this little demo app I built. It's pretty basic. So the idea here is I can enter a username and see if it's already taken. So if I enter a username like Riley, okay, it says it's available, but if I enter the name Devize, all right, Devize is taken. Okay, so if I'm building this feature, conceptually, what I want to do is take the value from the input and I want to see if there's another profile in my database that has that same username. Well, the issue is I probably don't want to make all of my usernames and all of the profiles in my app publicly accessible where anyone can just search and see if it exists. So instead of doing a search for data on the front end, and now I'm switching over into my editor, I made a backend workflow called check username. And this is going to take a username value as text and it's going to return a true false value. So it's going to, maybe this seems backwards, but this is going to return true if the username is available. So if this search for profiles is empty, then it'll be true. If it's not empty, it'll return false. So then in my front end, when I run this handle availability workflow, it's going to trigger this backend workflow and say check username. So all that I've exposed publicly is that you can put a username in and then it can return back a true false value. And that's all we're exposing in the world is if this value exists or doesn't exist. And I could add more logic in there, right? I could put some AI in between there. So if someone tries to put in a username that is maybe profane or has a word that you don't want to allow, I could block it. So having this backend workflow, it allows me to have all the logic that I need in one spot, but also it allows me to secure that data because I can get whatever data I want in a backend workflow. I can search for anything back here and my users aren't going to be able, like the users of my app aren't going to be able to see it. All they see is what gets sent and then they see what gets returned. So backend workflows are really useful. I don't want to make every single profile in my app publicly accessible. And so instead of loading that data from the front end, I can load it in a backend workflow. And then my canvas, I can just call the backend workflow and then reference the result.